Therefore, I'm sure. In fact, I called up the exams on yesterday and asked them about the midterm exam. They themselves not sure about it. They themselves they say they have to wait instruction from Dr. Catherine. You see, so I myself don't know. But whatever it is, definitely you will have your midterm exam, and your final exam together. Maybe during that week, yeah. Um, so don't get worried. But can you all see my face? Can you all see my face?
No, no.
But even if I on the camera, I don't know something wrong. I don't know. Only the module I'm having this problem. Only for module I'm having this problem. Uh, Only for module I'm having this problem. I don't know why.
But earlier before we can see your face, though, like few minutes ago.
Can see, is it?
Before, yeah, I think you can click again, open your video.
The camera is open now.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Can see.
Yes.
But how come I myself I cannot see all? How come? Huh? I can't see my face. I can't see my face.
I don't know.
But you all can see my face.
Yes.
But I can't see all, nah. Okay. What about now? No.
I cannot see your face. No.
No, don't worry. We'll
Right.
just wait for a couple of minutes here. But the other day I told you all what are the areas to study already, right? I fully covered everything, right? If I covered all the areas,
Yes.
All the areas, yeah? Except, as what I told you, except the environment, am I right? Except environment, am I right?
Yes.
You remember the environment?
You say that won't be in the exam, right?
Yeah, but you see,
So you haven't teach us yet.
No, the question here is, yeah. But what I will do, I'll just go through very briefly what you all need to know. Because normally we set two sets of questions, now set one and set two. But in environment, I put it in your set two, yeah. But let me just give you what you all need to know as far as, because environment is a very, very big area, very big area. But I will cover whatever you all need to know as far as environment is concerned, yeah. So I hope you all take down, yeah. I will follow the slide and also other materials, but make sure you all take down whatever I'm saying, yeah. Okay, and then what we'll do is that the rest of the areas all I've covered, right? The rest of the areas all I've covered, and also I've told you what are the areas to focus on. Also, listen there. Have I told you what are the areas to focus on? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. So you all are comfortable and have you all memorized all the areas? Okay, never mind. Whatever it is, what I will do is, yeah. Now I'll go into your environment. Yeah, I'll go into your environment. Yeah, I'll go into your environment now, and I will try to cover on that areas. Yeah, I will try to cover on all that areas now. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now going back on your environment. Yeah. Um, okay. Is it 11 o'clock already? Can we start now? Okay. Can you all hear me now? Hello.
Yes.
You all can hear me now, yeah. So I'm going to go through what do you mean by environment? Yeah, what do you mean by environment? And what are things you need to know? Yeah, if at all it appears, yeah, what are things you need to know? What's environment? What are the problems or what are the issues as far as environment is concerned in Malaysia? What are the issues or what are the problems? What are the issues or what are the problems faced by Malaysia, especially Malaysia? We just focus on Malaysia as far as environment is concerned. And also you need to know what are the solutions to it? What are the solutions? Meaning to say, okay, these are the issues or these are the problems faced as far as environment is concerned, and how to resolve these issues to a certain extent. So that means here what you need to know is uh, what are the environmental issues or problems in Malaysia, and to what extent these problems uh, could be resolved by the existing laws. Is it the existing law sufficient, or is it insufficient, or are we having any problems as far as the laws are concerned? We have all the good laws, but the weaknesses in implementing it, the weaknesses in implementing it. Okay, what are the weaknesses? Okay, these are the things we generally going to look into um, now. Yeah, these are the things which we are going to look into now. Yeah. Okay. Um, now generally ask yourself a question. Yeah, when talking about environment, what are the issues do you think you can think of as far as environment is concerned in Malaysia? What are the environmental problems Malaysia is facing? Hello, any feedback? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What are the environment problems do you think you can think of here? Try to recall what are the major environmental problems here. Water pollution, is it a problem? Water pollution?
Yes.
Water. Okay, water. Okay, that is one of the problem. Yeah. And then what about climate change? Climate change. You know, those days we can more or less we can predict the climate change, but nowadays it has gone haywire and very difficult uh, to exactly pinpoint on that climate in Malaysia. Those days we used to have the northeast monsoon and southeast monsoon, am I right? But nowadays you can see odd days raining and all the things, right? Weather change and all the things, right? Okay. Other than that, what about deforestation, cutting down of trees, clearance of the jungles? Is it a problem also in Malaysia now? Hello?
Yes.
Of course, isn't there? Deforestation, uh, cutting down of trees for development purposes without planning. Okay. Other than this, okay, water pollution we talk about. What about air pollution? Do we have air pollution in Malaysia? Do we have air pollution in Malaysia?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So these are some of the main problems faced in Malaysia, not only in Malaysia but universally. Yeah. And then of course the ozone layer is getting thinner and thinner. The ozone layer is getting thinner and thinner. If the ozone layer is getting thinner and thinner, then obviously end of the day the climate will be too hot, am I right? Because the ozone layer is getting, then we'll have more direct sun. If more direct sun, then of course there'll be a lot of issues, am I right? Okay, these are some of the problems which is faced in Malaysia currently. Okay, now so we go a bit in depth these problems and how to overcome these problems. So that means here we look into whether the existing laws which we are having now, is it sufficient or insufficient, or maybe we can say the existing law is sufficient, but the problem is on implementation of these uh, uh, laws. That means here the enforcement. There are weaknesses in the enforcement. That is the reason these things keep on going. So we are going to look into all these things very briefly here. Okay. Hello. Can you hear me now? Dengar
Yes.
tak? I can hear, yeah. So we'll go slowly by one here. What are the environmental problem here? Okay, we talk about air problem now. Air pollution. Okay, why are we having air pollution? Why do we have air pollution? Okay, so we're going through what are the issues, what are the problems in environment in Malaysia now. Yeah, so we look into first we look into air pollution. Okay, What do you mean by air pollution? 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 Can anyone help me? What do you mean by air pollution? What's your understanding of air pollution? Hello? How
Uh,
okay, how do we get air pollution? Yes, okay, yeah, tell me. You want to say something? Hello? Can you hear me?
Burning forests.
Okay, okay, now going back here, air pollution, why are we getting air pollution? Air pollution comes from where? Air pollution comes from where? From factories? Factories? Am I right? Smoke, open fire burning, am I right? All the factories, they're emitting out a lot of smoke. Then is it and then you remember always somewhere in July every year we have in Malaysia the problem of uh, this what do you mean that clearance of jungle in Indonesia, and what we get that we get haze, am I right? We get haze, am I right? True, isn't that? Hello?
Yes.
Ah, okay. This all to linking up with air, isn't it? So that means yeah, we our air or surrounding is polluted already, polluted with smoke, dust, and all the things, am I right? Okay, that is what you call as air pollution, So that means yeah, obviously we are breathing in very bad air, polluted air. If we are if we are breathing polluted air, then of course that will be a health hazard for the people, am I right? Health hazard, am I right? So that means yeah, uh, too much of vehicles emitting out a lot of smoke, carbon dioxide, and these are all the relating to air pollution. These are all relating to air pollution. Am I right? Okay. So now let me
Yes,
check.
sir. Sorry, can you accept one of our classmates in?
Chapter two. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, hold on. Okay, admit Joshua. Is it? Okay, Joshua. All right. Okay. Termasuk Joshua, you're in, Joshua.
And one more, Chang
Okay.
Jingshen.
I didn't.
Haven't yet.
Huh? I think I didn't. I didn't get. I think I didn't. So okay. So these are some of the problems, isn't there? As far as okay, one more. Yeah, who's that? Okay, I didn't. Yeah. Okay. So air pollution is one of the biggest problems which we are facing here. Do you know that statistics here? Statistics in our country we don't have a proper statistics here. But in America, yeah, United States of America, every year approximately 52,000 people die of exposure to this kind of air pollution. 52,000 people die in America every year due to air pollution. Okay, if 52,000 people are dying here, that is quite a big chunk of people. I mean, quite a lot of big chunk of people, right? Air pollution. Okay, so when you're talking about air, yeah, we are not only talking about smoke from cars, from factories, and all the things here. Not only that, including chemical smells, chemical emitting out from factories and all the things. These all things which lead to uh, the air pollution. Yeah. Um, Now, and then of course, air pollution also can take place because of the ozone layer depletion of the ozone layer. Meaning, yeah, the ozone layer in the sky, getting thinner and thinner. So that means yeah, we'll have more direct sunlight because the ozone layer, if it's thick, at least it will prevent the direct sun from hitting the earth. But since the ozone layer is getting thinner and thinner, they are predicting at one point of time the ozone layer might go, there will be a hole in the ozone layer. Then we'll have direct sun. If there's the direct sun, then the heat will be very, very great, that will also think. Yeah. Okay. So now, can you link up air pollution with clearance of jungle? Is it clearance of jungle? Is it to do
Yes.
with air pollution also? Yes, because normally trees, forest, yeah, it gives out oxygen. Am I right? It gives out oxygen, yeah. Okay, but more clearance of this jungle, that will lead to lesser and lesser oxygen. Am I right? Because more clearance, isn't it? More clearance of jungles, yeah, and all the things. Because trees, they take in carbon dioxide and they give out oxygen. We take in oxygen and we give out carbon dioxide. Am I right? So you see, at trees, they they take in carbon dioxide and they release oxygen. But human being, if we take in oxygen and we leave out with carbon dioxide, am I right? So deforestation, that is one of the issues here. Okay, now that is some of the thing link up with air pollution. Yeah, air pollution. Okay, now we are just highlighting only. Now we are not gone into how to solve it. Okay, now going back to water pollution. Water pollution. Okay, what do you mean by water pollution? Yeah, what do you mean by water pollution? That means, yeah, the water which we are getting has been tainted with chemicals, and unwanted particles into the water, right? Into the river and all the things, right? I'm sure some of you would have faced in the recent times problems on environment, like you say, like water cut quite frequently. What was the cause of it? What was the cause of it? Especially those who are living in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor, yeah. I think last month, 2-3 times we had a water cut. Am I right? What was the issue of that? Why? Why do we have the water cut? Why? Because the dams were polluted with unwanted chemicals and all the things which came out from the factories. Am I right? Okay. Now, if we take in this contaminated water, what will be the problem? Of course, it will affect our health, isn't it? So, water pollution is one of the key thing here. Water pollution, yeah. Water pollution also clearance of jungle, all the mud goes into the river and then becomes the water is not crystal clear. It gets muddy and dirty. Am I right? That also another big problem which we're facing. Okay, water pollution we're facing, air pollution we're facing. Any other uh, um, problems are we facing other than this? Any other problems are we facing as far as the environment is concerned? Hello? This is a very general area. It's a very, very general area. This is a very, very general area. Okay. Okay. Now, you see here, this water clearance of jungle will lead to climate change. Am I right? Of course, there's a climate change. Then, of course, if it's too heaty, too less water, and then out of it, a lot of the effect on humans. Okay. Now, the problem is these are some of the environmental problems we are facing here. But some are arguing, okay, we have to clear the jungle for development. If we never clear the jungle for development, then there is no development. So now the issue is balancing development at the same time uh, taking into consideration the hazards or the problems created by this uh, clearance here. So that means what I'm trying to say is that there must be a formula to balance out development at the same time uh, following the procedures in clearance of the jungle and all the things. Okay. Now, uh, if we were to go into this now, yeah, we look into here what what are the laws currently we have. What are the laws currently the country is having? What are the laws are we having now? Yeah. Okay. Now, one, this very, see the question itself, yeah, this area environment is very, very general. I don't know why it comes in your syllabus, to be very frank. Yeah, It's not relevant at all, but it's incorporated in your syllabus. Yeah. Okay. Uh, Environment. What are the problems here? Okay. Now, the question here is now whether the laws are sufficient. Who is that? Yeah, Cassandra. Is it Cassandra going to come in here? Who's that? Yeah, wait, hold on. Okay. Cassandra is in already. Okay. So now we look into, okay, going back to your slide, yeah. Do you have your slide with you all, isn't there? Okay, go back to your slides here. I'm just going to your slides here. Can you see? I'm not sure. Is it slide lecture? Is it lecture 12? Is it? Hello? Environmental Quality Act 1974. Hello? Everyone gone into the slides?
Yes.
Can you see part 1 there? Can you see part 1 there?
See what?
Part 1. Can you see the thing? Part 1. If I'm mistaken, let me see what.
Yes, yes.
This, can you see the part 1 there? Okay. Environmental Quality Act 1974. Okay, Environmental Quality Act 1974 here. This is the major act here which was introduced by the Malaysian Parliament here to overcome or to resolve all the environmental issues. How to combat or how to resolve these environmental issues? We created this Environmental Quality Act 1974. So that means, yeah, the purpose of this act, yeah, why they introduced this act, yeah. Let me tell you very briefly, yeah, why do we have this Environmental Quality Act 1974, yeah. Okay, this act here clearly specifies, only 1974, before that we do not have this act, yeah. So that means, yeah, here, okay, if you are clearing a jungle, for development, you need to comply. You need to comply rules and regulation in clearance. So that means, yeah, if you're clearing a jungle, you have to follow the procedures, not simply chop on the clearance, whichever way you like, yeah. But there must be a method, because what I meant is, yeah, there must be a proper procedure. Means here, if you're clearing the jungle, then of course there'll be erosion of the soil. Am I right? If there's erosion of the soil, then it will go and block all the rivers and all the things. It becomes muddy, right? So they have to follow a proper procedure in the clearance where it would not cause soil erosion. Okay, soil erosion, yeah. And also, yeah, they're also saying that if you are clearing the jungle, then if for development, then you have to plant trees. You have to plant trees to uh, create an environment still with trees and all the things. You're not totally making it a treeless area. These kind of things. Yeah. Okay. Now, going back here, the purpose, this is very important here. Can you see the slide 3 here? This you need to know. The purpose of the Environmental Quality Act. The purpose, can you see? To prevent, abate and control pollution and further enhancing the quality of the environment in this country. The Department of Environment has been entrusted to administer this legislation. So that means, yeah, this Environmental Quality Act 1974, it was enacted by the Parliament. But who need to, it comes under the Ministry of Environment. It comes under the Ministry of Environment, yeah, it comes under the Department of Environment, yeah, to administer it and to make sure that everyone follows this particular law. Okay, this particular Act 1974 applies to the entire country, including Sabah and Sarawak. Okay, so that means, yeah, anyone dealing with environment, those dealing with environment, yeah, let's say maintaining of rivers, uh, jungle and all the things, they need to comply to to this particular law. So that means licenses will be issued. Licenses will be issued under this particular act for those who want to do clearance of jungle. Okay, so the clearance of jungle must be for valid reason. You simply cannot clear. So that means under this particular act, a license will be issued only for a purpose which is going to. If you're clearing a jungle, there must be a benefit of clearing it. That means it must be meant for development or to create job opportunities and all the things. Yeah. Okay, can you see part one? Yeah, environment, the physical factor. This all quite uh, self-reading. This all self-reading. Yeah, you just explain in your own words what is the objective of this particular act. Why? What is the role of this particular act? Okay. Earlier, you remember clearing of jungle. Yeah, clearance of jungle. Yeah, of course, the weather. Of course, there will be a climate change, am I right? So that means it will be much more heaty. Other than this, yeah, clearance of jungle, what is the impact? What is the impact of clearance of jungle? Yeah, does it affect any animals? Does it affect animals? Hello.
Yes.
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 How? Oh, tell me how.
Their habitat.
Hmm? The habitats in the jungle.
Yeah.
Of course, isn't it the habitats in the jungle, right? Okay, like I see, as what I was showing, yeah, we have lesser and lesser of for tigers, Malaysian tigers in the jungle, elephants, and all the things because clearance of the jungle. Am I right? Not only animals here, all habitats in the jungle is getting smaller and smaller because of the rapid development clearance of the jungle, right? Orangutan and all the things, right? Okay, so how to overcome this? If you're clearing this, then you should make sure that these animals are preserved to be not just kill it, or it should be preserved permanent because that's a process of the thing, right? Okay, so the means clearance, of course, it will create deforestation and also soil erosion and also animal effect and all the things, right? Okay, now can you see the pollutants here? Pollutions. Can you see the pollutions here? Okay, Uh, under the pollutions, you can see all the things: waste, effect, beneficial use, adversely. Can you see welfare of the animals, bird, wild fish, and all the things is affecting, right? So they have to preserve it. They simply cannot think. So now, can you see the fifth slide there? This is very. You can do your own interpretation here. Can you see the fifth slide? Occupier. Okay, the occupier of the can be a premises, can be a ship, can be a vehicle, can be aircraft. Yeah. So what this law is saying here, the occupier must comply to this particular act. So that means here the occupier means here the occupier of that particular land, he must make sure that whatever clearance he's doing to that his jungle or whatever it is, he must comply to this particular act. Okay, if you're having a car, if you're having a ship, or you're having any vehicles, a lorry or whatever, yeah, of course, you must make sure that these particular vehicles are well maintained and it's not emitting out too much of smoke here. If it's not maintained properly, then of course there'll be heavy smoke coming out from these vehicles, and automatically that will uh, have effect on the environment. Am I right? So the occupier or even the owner, the occupier or the owner or whoever is leasing out that particular land, yeah, they have to look into it. Otherwise, yeah, nothing much can be done. Yeah. Okay. Now, let me say this particular act. If you see this particular act, yes, a small act. It's only a small act. Yeah. But the purpose is to make sure that everyone comply to this particular act. Okay. Now I'm going to go. Yeah. Now I'm going to go into. Uh, now I'm going to go into your uh, area. Yeah. In your, to be very frank, yeah. To be very frank, yeah. Whether in your final or in your final exam, yeah, we have normally we set two set of questions for your final year, set 1 and set 2. Yeah, in both of these, you don't have your environmental law in both this set of questions. You don't have environmental law at all, but only you have environmental law question areas in your midterm exam. But then again, yeah, even though you have in your midterm exam, yeah, these are very general, But the question here is, yeah, your midterm exam, you have um, 5 questions, You have 5 questions in your midterm exam. You have to answer only 4. You have to answer only 4. So what I'm trying to say here, you can still leave out environmental law if you're not uncomfortable, because there's no proper guideline for environmental law. It's very wide, because end of the day, you need to answer only 4 questions in your midterm exam out of the 5. So one of it will be on environment, So you can still you can answer the 4 others if you are still don't want to focus on environmental law, you are still safe. You are still safe here, because the other areas all we have already covered, and you can answer the other 4 areas, just leaving out environmental law. Are you are you all following what I'm trying to say? Hello? Dengar tak?
Yes.
So, but if you want me to go through on this again, go through on what are the issues you all need to know? I'll go through, or you all wanted to leave out environment? Hello?
I think no issue.
Okay, what I will do here, what I will do here, I will just go through here what you need to know under this particular uh, area. Okay, because hello, are you listening? Okay,
Yes.
what you need to know is under environment here, whether the existing environmental law, whether the existing environmental law is sufficient in order to uh, resolve the issues or the challenges faced under environment. So that means, yeah, what you need to know is, okay, whether the current laws is the current laws sufficient, or is it not sufficient, or you can also argue along this line. It is sufficient, the current laws are sufficient, but the problem is in implementing it or enforcing it. So what you need to do, you highlight what are the environmental issues in Malaysia, and then you go on to argue whether the current laws, is it sufficient or not sufficient, or is it we have to introduce more laws to protect the environment, or you can argue along the line, yes, we have enough laws, but only thing we lack in implementing it. We lack in implementing it. So that means, yeah, the current laws are good, but the policymakers or the people who are enforcing it are not enforcing it properly. Okay, now I will now I will just go through this here. Just take down whatever I'm saying here. If you take down whatever I'm saying, this is more than enough if any one of you intend to cover on this area, yeah? Okay? Are you following? Okay. Now, generally, what you can argue along is that, yeah, the current laws is sufficient. The current laws in Malaysia is sufficient as far as environment is concerned, because the Environmental Quality Act 1974, yeah, that particular act we are talking about, yeah, the Environmental Quality Act, yeah, okay, which was enacted in 1974 and came to enforcement in 1975, yeah. it is sufficient. It is sufficient. It covers on all the issues raised by environment. Okay, it covers on water pollution, air pollution, ozone layer, and everything. No proper planning of building factories and all the things. It covers in all areas of it. But the issue is, so that means it covers water, it covers on air pollution, water, factory, emission of smoke, chemicals which is emitted from the factories. It covers on all areas. That particular act, it is very sufficient. Okay, so that means what I'm trying to say is that we have the laws now, because other than the Environmental Quality Act, we have also one particular act called Public Cleansing Management Act 2007. Public Cleansing Management Act 2007, and also International Trade of Endangered Species Act 2008, and finally Wild Conservation Act 2010. These three areas here, can you see? Public Cleansing Management Act 2007, International Trade of Endangered Species Act 2008, and Wild Conservation Act 2010. Okay, no, these three act, why we have these three act other than the Environmental Equality Act? Because the Environmental Quality Act doesn't cover on this area. Because sometimes, people smuggle in uh, protected species, birds from overseas and also from Malaysia, they export it to foreign countries. The Environmental Quality Act doesn't cover on that all. But so now we have this particular act to protect. So that means I'm sure uh, uh, animals, protected species from Malaysia, they are taking it, exporting to foreign countries, and also from foreign countries, they're importing some protected species, animals, and all the things, right? The Environmental Quality Act doesn't cover on that. So now we have this act to protect that. So that means, anyone who's involved in, like you see, like simple example, like the horns of the elephant and all these things, they're using it, isn't there? So now we have these current laws to protect. Anyone do this business, illegal business, then under this particular acts, they can be charged, can be charged. Because the Environmental Act doesn't cover that. So that means what I'm trying to say, currently we have all the act. It's all in place, but the only problem we're having now is implementing it. Implementing it. So that means, the officers who are involved in implementing all this act, they do not do it. Why they are not doing it? Because of bribery and all these things. Okay, you see, I'm just trying to compare. Okay, we have the Drug Act. The Drug Act, 1959, where if you're selling drugs above 14 um, grams and this, you can be hanged. Am I right? We have all the laws, but even though we have the laws, but the enforcers are not following it because they take in money and then let them out. So the same issues happening here. We have all the laws, but the officers who are implementing it, they are not doing it properly because of third parties involved. Okay, now I'll give you two cases here. Go and do some work on these two cases here. One is Kajing, Kajing, Tubek, Tubek versus Ikran Berhad. Got it? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
yes.
Yes.
Another case ya, Ketua Pengarah Jabatan Alam Sekitar, Ketua Pengarah Jabatan Alam Sekitar versus Kajing Tubek. This is another case, yeah. Okay. Now, okay. So that means here, what I'm trying to say is here, we have all the laws, but only thing like in implementing it. Okay. Now, other than this particular act which I mentioned here, even our federal constitution, the federal constitution here, article 145 of the federal constitution of Malaysia. You all know what's federal constitution, right? Article 145 of the federal constitution of Malaysia, yeah, also plays a role in protecting the environment, in protecting the environment, in protecting the environment also. Okay, in protecting animal. This is here. This and other than that, yeah, other than that, we have the National Land Code 1965. I'm sure you know what is the National Land Code, yeah. The National Land Code 1965. What it says, protection of the enforcement of laws relating to forests has been hampered not by inadequacy of the legislation, but by the lack of enforcement of them. Okay, you see the National Land Code 1965, protection of the enforcement of the laws relating to forests has been hampered not by inadequate of the legislation, but by the lack of enforcement of them. So we have the laws, but again, there is lack in implementing it. Why the lack in implementing it? Of course, the issue of bribery. I'm sure in the recent times you all have read quite a lot of newspaper cuttings. Yeah, we have a lot of immigration problems, right? Illegal immigrants coming into the country to the airport and all the things. Because why? We have the laws, but those officers who are in charge are letting them in without proper documents for in terms of taking bribes, am I right? These are the issues, these are the issues we are facing now. Not to say that we don't have enough laws, but okay, how to overcome this? Okay, so now we know, yeah, as far as the environment is concerned, we have all the laws to do, but enforcing it, that is a problem. Okay, how to overcome this enforcement then? Can you all think of? Hello? 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 Can you all think of?
Can you repeat again?
Okay, the question is simple, yeah. Okay, we know that the current laws are sufficient to overcome all environmental issues in Malaysia, whether water pollution, air pollution, smuggling of animals as protected species, even plants, and everything. We have all the laws, not only the federal constitution, we have also the land code 1965 and all the environmental act and all the things, right? We have all the things, but we know that the person who are enforcing or applying this law do not follow it. So that means, yeah, the application of it is insufficient or not done properly. Why? Because of bribery and all these things. Am I right? Okay. Now, so we know we have identified the source of the problem now. We have the laws, but the issue is enforcing it is not right. Okay. How to overcome that? How to overcome that? And that is the thing. If you can cover this, then you can cover on environment. So what I'm trying to say is here, we have highlighted what are the environmental issues in Malaysia. Okay, we have also highlighted we have all the laws to combat the problems in environment. Yes, we have all the laws are updated, but the problem is implementing the existing laws. That is what we are lacking now, implementing it. Implementing it, they are not doing it. Why? Because they're taking bribery and just letting them off to do the thing, clearance of jungle without permit. Also, they they take money and let them to clear the jungle and all the things here. Even sometimes you can see even housing areas, steep uh, uh, steep areas, very steep, yeah. They build houses, By right, they shouldn't be building houses there because it's endangering houses below it. But they just take money and just approving it, the local councils, am I right? So we know all these things happening. Okay, so now we have gone, so we know the problem now is the person who are implementing it are not doing their job. So that means the enforcement officers are not doing the job. We also know why they are not doing the job, because they're taking money. Okay, now the question here is how to overcome this, how to make sure that they're doing proper implementation. Can you all think of? Hello?
Cannot, too hard for me.
Huh?
I cannot think.
Okay, now you see, uh, the problem, okay, who are these people who are involved? All civil servants, am I right? They all civil servants, am I right? Kaki tangan kerajaan, am I right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Now you see, recently, I was a bit shocked here. You remember that the Thailand-Malaysia border here, there was a shootout and two of the soldiers died just I think 2 weeks ago. Have you heard?
No.
They were smuggling in things from Thailand into Malaysia. Now, some of the top officers in the immigration, they were collecting money and letting these people to come in. And there was a shootout, and two of the ordinary defense people who are in the border, they were killed. Now, one killed and one was very serious. Okay, now we already know, yeah, why these things happening, because of taking bribes, am I right? Okay, how to overcome this? That is the issue. Like yeah, I'm sure some of you are adults, you all by now you all would have known, yeah. Even in Malaysia, you can get a driving license without going for your test, but you can still get a license, right? Am I right? Boleh kan? Hello?
You mean without test but can get the license?
Yes. Or sometimes you just for formality sake you go for the test, but they will pass you because they have given money.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
It's happening, yeah, it's happening, yeah. Okay, just they'll tell you, okay, for formality sake you go for the test. Even if you never do well as a you'll pass it. Am I right? Because, okay, but we have the laws to protect this. But who are the officers who are doing it? They're collecting money and they're passing you, right? Okay. So how to overcome this? That is the thing now. How to come? Okay, you see, in the customs here recently, they were some of them were caught. They are only sent to prison for 30 days. And fined 20,000 ringgit only. Okay, so what we are trying to say in your conclusion, you must say, yeah. Whoever found guilty by the court of law, they should be terminated from the service. They should be sacked. And they should be sent to imprisonment. Am I right? Only then there'll be fear among the people. Am I right? In the near future, they would not practice these kind of things, right? But nowadays, they are not doing that. That's the biggest problem which we are facing now. Are you following? Hello?
Yes.
So that means, yeah, if a civil servant, if they were caught, they should be sacked. They should be terminated from their service, and they should be imposed high fine, and also they should be sent to imprisonment. Only then, yeah, there will be a fear. Like you see, yeah, in China, what they do, if you're taking bribe, what they do in China, What they do in China? Hello, have you heard? In China, if you take bribe, what they do, they will
Don't know.
shoot, they will shoot you and kill you. They shoot you in public, That is the sentencing in China. If you take bribe, they will shoot you. They will shoot you. If in Malaysia, if they have this kind of thing, would anyone dare to do it? Would anyone dare to do it? No, isn't there? Like I'm sure you all have heard in your newspapers and everything. Yeah, our former prime minister has been found guilty by the court. Has been found guilty by the court that he has taken bribe and all the things, right? But he's he's working freely now, even though he has been convicted by the court. Am I right? Betul kan? So you see, the thing is that the implementation, they must be very strict. If they're found guilty, then they should be penalized. Am I right? Those who are offering bribe, both giver and taker should be sent to imprisonment. Both givers and also takers. As long as there are givers, there'll be takers. Am I right? Betul kan? No point just penalizing only the taker. But there's no takers. That if there are no givers, there won't be takers. So you can sum up along this line. You can sum up along this line. Okay.
Okay.
So you just run to the slides here, and you can do that. Okay. Now, what we are going to. Okay. Now, have we covered all the areas? Okay. Now, let me see whether we have covered all the areas or not. Yeah. On the Malaysian legal, okay, now we'll go through again, but not to worry, maybe your exam beginning on 28, am I right? 28, am I right, Shirley? Hello?
Yes.
Your exam begin on the 28th, right?
Yes.
Okay, on the 28th, yeah. What we can do is, what we can do, we can have a class maybe 2 or 3 days before the exam. Maybe I can have that. This got nothing to do with Imperium, but I'll have a class with you maybe around the 25th or around there, at least to see any changes that taken place or not, because we can never know any other changes are to take place. Okay. Can you all see my face? Can you all see my
Yes,
face
I
now?
can see your face now.
Okay. Now, going back there, any areas which you are not comfortable. Okay, any areas in Malaysian legal system you all are not clear? So you see, going back on Malaysian legal system here, you all need to know what is federal constitution. You all need to know what is federal constitution. Yeah, I'm sure you all know by now. Yeah, and also you all need to know what do you mean by judge-made law. What do you mean by judge-made law? And also you all need to know the difference. What is legislation and delegated? Is there any difference between legislation and delegated legislation, or is it the same? Janice, is it the same, or is there any difference between legislation and delegated legislation, or is it the same?
Legislation and what?
No, I'm asking you, what's the difference between legislation and delegated legislation? Is it the same, or is there any difference between both of these?
Is have a difference. One is the law judgment, another one is the by the English law, is it? Is by the last judgment.
Okay. So again, can you let me know what's the difference between legislation and delegated legislation? What is English law, is it?
Never mind,
Yes.
forget it.
Okay.
I forgot already.
Okay, no, what about Shelley? What about you, Shelley? Shelley?
Yeah, the legislation is by the parliament one in the Dewan Rakyat, but then the delegated is not by parliament. It's only by those legal expert. Yeah.
Okay, legislation are laws which are enacted by the parliament, am I right? Because there are 7 stages in drafting the law, right? There are 2 houses which are involved. That is House of Commons, Dewan Rakyat, and Dewan Negara, am I right? And there are 7 stages of passing the law in the parliament. So that is legislation. Once it's approved by the king, signed by the king, then it becomes an acta, an act of parliament, right? Okay, that is what you mean by legislation. Legislation are laws which are enacted or drafted by the parliament. There are 7 stages in drafting the law. So there are 2 houses which are involved, that is Dewan Rakyat and Dewan Negara. And the last stage is where the king signs and it becomes an acta, am I right? Okay, that is what you mean by legislation. Legislation means an act of parliament. In Bahasa, we call it acta. Okay, then what is delegated legislation? Chelly, you mentioned why? Okay, why do delegated legislation comes in here? Why we have the parliament, right? But why do the
Yeah, but it is for standby for the act of parliament. For example, if the legislation they close a deal or they got urgent stuff, so the delegated legislation can help them to do the law lah. Just for standby. Yeah.
because you see, even though parliament is authorized to draft the law, but the problem is parliament is not open 365 days. Parliament can only draft the law during the parliament session. But now the parliament session is going on, now in the parliament. Today is the last day, Today is the last day. You all know, isn't it? Now the parliament section, parliament is they are having, they are tabling every day now. Today is the last day. Once it's finished today, then the parliament only will open in April 2021. So that means, January, February, March, no parliament. But let's say the country needs a law somewhere, an urgent law in February, but the parliament is closed. So to make the law. So what parliament they do? They delegate their power to these uh, government agencies, government ministries, and statutory bodies to make law on behalf of the parliament. When these bodies, when they make the law, it is called delegated legislation. It is also an acta, it's also an act of parliament, but not done directly by the parliament, but the in the government agencies or in the government ministries, the legal department, they do it. That's what she rightly said, yeah. In case the parliament is closed, then this comes as an alternative, am I right? That's where they do it, yeah. You got it? Okay, now, and also, yeah, you all need to know also the difference between civil law and public law, right? So that, are you all clear on that? Joshua,
Yes.
Joshua, are you on the line, Joshua? Joshua, are you on the line? No. Okay, Choli Chow, are you on the line? Choli Chow?
Yes, I'm on the line.
Okay, tell me.
Your question is what is the civil law and the criminal law?
Yes. Civil law and the public law.
Sir, I don't know.
No. Okay, Yong Wen Bin, you're on the line, Yong, are you on the line, Yong?
Yeah, I'm on.
Tell me quickly, quick, tell me.
I don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Don't know. Okay, what about what's that? Yeah, Shahira Akma, are you on the line?
Yes.
A quick one. What's the difference between public law and civil law?
I forgot already.
Okay, see,
but I know the example lah.
Tell me the example then.
One of it is like something like huge criminal, something like that. Even huge criminal.
So you see, the difference between public law and private law, public law and civil law, the difference between civil law and public law. Civil law, sometimes another word for civil law is private law, The difference is this, Civil law are laws which does not involve the government. Civil laws are laws which do not involve the government. It doesn't involve the government. So it can be an agreement between two individual persons or can be an agreement between two parties or between two companies. Okay? So the parties in a civil law or civil case is called as plaintiff and the defendant. Plaintiff is the person who's filing the case and the opponent is the defendant. In a civil case, who need to show proof? In a civil case, who need to show proof? Who need to show proof in a civil case? The plaintiff, am I right? The plaintiff is the one who need to show proof in a civil case because the plaintiff is the one who's filing the case in the court, am I right? So it's the plaintiff who need to show proof in the court of law. Okay? If either the plaintiff or the defendant wins in a civil case, then money compensation will be given, or injunction, or specific performance. Am I right? Betul kan? Okay. What about public law? Public law is a law which involves the government. Example of public law: criminal law, murder, manslaughter, rape, and all these things, right? In a public law, the parties are called as DPP, that is Deputy Public Prosecutor, versus the defendant. The name of the defendant will be there. In a public law, the burden of proving lies on the DPP. The DPP need to prove beyond reasonable doubt. Am I right? If anyone wins the case, then there will be either sentencing, fine, imprisonment, can be even death penalty. Am I right? And that other things. These are the main differences between public law and civil law. Civil law, like your law of contract, agency law, hire purchase law, all comes under civil law. In a civil case, the burden of proving lies on the plaintiff, and the plaintiff need to prove on balance of probability, right? That are things which you need to know. You know what's a judgment law, right? What do you mean by judgment law, When judges deliver judgment, that judgment becomes a law, right? When judges deliver judgment, that judgment becomes a law, right? Everyone need to follow, am I right? Only judgment of right. Yeah, yes, Ali.
No, sorry.
You see, judgment laws, another word for judgment law is decision by the courts. When judges deliver judgment, then that judgment will become the law, am I right? Everyone need to follow, am I right? Betul kan? Only judgment of High Court, Court of Appeal, and Federal Court are judicial decision or judgment laws, not lower court, not magistrate court or session court, that you need to know. Any other areas you all want me to explain? Any other areas you all want me to explain? You see, any other areas you want me to explain? Any other areas you all want me to explain?
Vicarious
Hello?
liability.
Tell me.
The vicarious liability.
Okay, vicarious liability. Going back on vicarious liability. Okay, vicarious liability. What do you mean by vicarious liability? For vicarious liability to take place, there must be an employer and employee relationship. For vicarious liability to take place, there must be an employer and employee relationship. Okay, what do you mean by employer and employee relationship? So that means, there must be contract of service. There must be contract of service, not contract for service. There must be contract of service. That means there must be an employer-employee relationship. What do you mean by employer-employee relationship? Which comes under Section 2 of the Employment Act 1955. Section 2 of the Employment Act 1955 says the employer is entering into an agreement with the employee with terms and conditions that he's hiring him to work for him on a monthly basis. That means on a permanent basis. So that's where there is a employer-employee relationship. Okay. For vicarious liability to take place, there must be an employer-employee relationship first. Secondly, there must be instruction given by the employer to the employee. Instruction should have been given by the employer to the employee. The employer himself personally, or the owner himself personally, or the manager of the company, or the supervisor, whoever, giving the employee instruction to do. Thirdly, in the course of carrying out the duty, that accident should have taken place in the course of carrying out the duty. In the course of carrying out the duty by the employee, that accident or incident should have taken place. And fourthly, there must be loss, damage, or injury suffered by the third party due to the negligent act of the employee in the course of carrying out the duty. There must be. So these are the four elements need to be established for vicarious liability to take place. Vicarious you're calling the aircon serviceman to come and service your aircon. On the way, he's coming to your house and he met up with an accident. Are you liable? No, because there is no employer-employee relationship. He provides a service, you pay him for his service, off he goes. Am I right? True, isn't it? So these are the elements needed to establish vicarious liability. Joshua, are you on the line, Joshua? Joshua, are you on the line? Okay, now going back, yeah. Timson, are you on the line, Timson? Timson, are you on the line, Timson? Tim Wong Shin Pei. What about Wong Shin Pei? Wong Shin Pei?
Yes.
Wong Shin Pei. Okay, tell me. Yeah, why are they making the employer liable for the negligent act of the employee? Why? Why are they making the employer liable? Because only the employee is negligent here and he's the one who caused damage to the employer, right? To the third party, right? But why are they making the employer liable? Why? Yes? Wong Chin Pei? Any idea? No idea.
No idea.
No idea. Okay, Yo Waisun, what about Yo Waisun? What about you? Yo Waisun? Yo Waisun, are you on the line? Yo Waisun, are you on the line? Tell me. Why are they making the employer liable for the negligent act of their employee? The employee has been negligent here and he has caused damage to the third party, not the employer. But why are they making the employer liable to pay compensation to the third party for the negligent act of their employee? Why? Yes, tell me. Hmm? Hmm? Yes, not sure. Sure. Okay, Janice, can you help me, Janice? Janice?
Um, I'm
Tell
not
me. Not sure. Okay, what about Shelly?
Because the employee is getting the benefits from the employer lah. So at the same time, they also need to absorb all the loss or injury caused by the employee.
Okay, you see, there are a few reasons here. There are a few reasons why they're making the employer liable for the negligent act of the employee. One is the employer is the one who's benefiting from the employee. At the same time, he must also bear the risk. One. Two, the employer is the one who has recruited this incompetent employee. So therefore, he has to take the risk also. And thirdly, the employer is the employer or his manager or the supervisor is the one who has given the instruction to carry out the duty. And fourthly, employer is the one who is financially sound or with a deep pocket. If they were to make the employee liable, then the third party would not be getting anything. And moreover, normally, if any of this incident or accident takes place, the employer will have a group insurance coverage for all the employees, and the insurance company will be paid to the third party for whatever negligence which has taken place. Am I right? For all these reasons here, they make the employer liable. If they were to make the employee liable, let's say the employee has caused damage to third party 100,000, but the employee's salary is only 1,500 per month. How is he going to pay? End of the day, the third parties will not be getting anything. Am I right? Okay. Now, I've given you all some cases to go through also here, right? What are the cases? Can you all give me some of the cases? Hello? Shelly, can you recall any cases? I've given you all some cases, right?
Under vicarious liability,
Yes.
I don't think I got. I don't think I will write down any cases though.
Any cases you all can think of? Janice, what about you? Janice, can you think of any case?
vicarious liability. Is it the?
The cases for vicarious liability. I've given you all some cases.
But I remember about the hill slide, then the house.
What case is it?
I forgot the case name already. I have do the tutorial.
You forgot the case. Anyone? What about Shahira?
Extra notes for this case one.
Yeah. Shahira, what about you, Shahira? Any other case? Shahira?
I don't know.
Yeah, given you so many cases, right? Hey, you all need to know the cases, Go and check the slides. The cases, you all need to know at least 3 cases. Okay? Because you all have to support the cases. Okay, any other areas? Any other areas you all want to know? Any other areas you all want to know? So that means, you see, by case liability, you all need to know the cases. Without cases here, you have to support with cases. Hey, can you all recall? I just give you some. I just give you the fact of one case. Yeah, I just give you. Yeah, you remember this guy was employed. This guy was employed, and he was employed to work as a oil tanker driver. And then this guy will go to the petrol station to fill up the oil in the petrol station. And he was smoking, and he will throw the part, and the whole petrol station was burned down. What case is that? Have I given you this case right?
No.
Huh?
I never heard that.
What about you, Janice? Janice?
Can you repeat the case name?
That's why I'm asking you the facts of the case. I'm asking you the name of the case. Can you recall or not?
Never heard this case before, sir. Sorry.
Huh? Who's that telling? Janice, Janice, you are the one. Janice telling.
No, not
No.
me.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give out some cases. I'll give out some cases. Yeah. Okay, but go back to your slides and see the cases are all in your slides. Try to support at least with 3 cases. At least with 3 cases. Okay. Okay. We'll just take a 5 minutes break and I will get back to you. Just a 5 minutes break. Yeah. I'll get back to you. Okay. Just a
Okay.
5 minutes.